Okay, grab that good seat. Okay, we've got a topic today which is most critical to our church and to our lives. So I hope we will really listen to Mark. Got a lot to give us. Let's open with a word of prayer. Dear Father, help us to listen because we're not good listeners. And help us to understand the depths of your word and what it teaches and how C.S. Lewis has brought it to life. We ask your blessings on Mark and each one of us here in your name. Amen.
Amen. Hey everybody, thanks for being here. Glad to be with you. I don't usually get to, what's the next word? Education. If anybody else comes in, maybe you could give one of those. My family, we live in Salem, and it's hard enough to get to church on time. If some of you, our ushers, know that we never make it on time, but we make it. Just to say, Father Patrick and I go way back to Gordon College days, and we acted in a play together in Salem years ago, and he originated a role in that play. And then Dean mentioned me as a dramatist last week, and that maybe helped to change up what I was going to do a little bit. Patrick had asked me to do a presentation maybe on Derek Walcott, a poet that I know, a Nobel Prize winner, and he suggested that I do something on Derek's view of God and Derek Walcott's faith and so on. And I started researching that, and I just was striking out. Couldn't really pull it off without a year of research and so on. So I wrote to Patrick and I said, can we do Screwtape? I did an adaptation of Screwtape Letters years ago. I'll say something about that. And he said, yeah, go ahead. So with his permission and with the suggestion last week that I'm a dramatist, I decided to lean into this. So that's what you have before you. Back in the early 90s, well, actually in college, I was a performer in Peter Stein's Reader's Theater. Some of you know Stein, some of you know his Reader's Theater troupe. And we did The Great Divorce, and we went with that to Moody, to Wheaton, a bunch of places in Chicago. That was the introduction to me of theater in a way, and we went on to a couple other years of doing things together, the Scarlet Letter and so on. And then in his sort of imitating Stein, I adapted this when Norm Jones asked me to make something for the Gordon Players. So this piece is Screwtape Letters with scenes from The Great Divorce to sort of punch up the letters. Of course, the letters are just a series of things from Screwtape to Wormwood. And how do you dramatize that? Well, I didn't really want to write scenes on Lewis's behalf, so I looked for stuff in The Great Divorce. And you'll see, if you know both, you'll see spots, and I'll mention as we read through some of this, where things are coming from The Great Divorce. Also, Lewis was a poet, wanted to be a poet since the age of 14, wrote a sort of an epic poem called Dimmer, D-Y-M-E-R. Haven't read. It was a little bit before he became a Christian. He was still an atheist, and after he became a Christian, his poetry obviously it diminished as he began to be sort of a Christian apologist. But I do have 8 of his lyric poems, or portions of his lyric poems, are in this script. And the character that Screwtape and Wormwood, that leads in this Screwtape Letters, they are trying to grab this character's soul for eternity in hell. And that's what the letters are about. You probably all know Screwtape Letters, but Screwtape is writing to a junior tempter to say, how can we get our patient into hell permanently? So it's a primer on temptation, or secure. I can't ever find the word for what that would be. Maybe you can help me find that word. I called the character Clive in this. That was obviously Lewis's first name. And so the character of Clive is, he speaks 8 poems in this script. And again, we won't read the whole thing. We'll read a bunch of it. And I'd love for us to read the last letter if we can, because it's really, really good. But you're the cast. I know that if you saw the email, it said we'll have a staged reading. And I wrote that, so I clearly don't know how to write the blurbs like that. But it's not really a staged reading unless the stage is you. So I need you to volunteer to read some parts. You ready to do that? I don't know how good you don't have to be, but it's not that you need to read so great. You need to be a great reader of drama. You don't. You just have to have eyes that can see this font size. That's all, right? That's it. So, so let's see. I don't have a script that has the characters on it. I got one. Thank you. Got it now. I need volunteers. So just play along and let's volunteer. Again, I need to have, who's going to read Screwtape for us? You'll have the bulk of it. We can also change that around a little bit. So someone who volunteers to read Screwtape, you can read for part of the time, and then we'll give it to, I don't know, Ezra. We'll make Ezra read Screwtape or something like that. Okay, maybe not Ezra. But somebody give us a yes to reading Screwtape. Great, Bill's got it. I'm going to jot that down. Who's going to read Wormwood? That's the junior tempter. All the letters go to Wormwood, but Wormwood reads too. And in this case, Wormwood is, since we cast it years ago, it was a woman playing it, so it's Screwtape's niece instead of nephew. Anyone willing to read Wormwood? What's your name? Meg. Thanks, Meg. Sorry, I don't know everybody's name. I should. Triptweeze is one of the demons, or I call them Diablos, and has this opening prologue there. And we'll have some. Who will read Triptweeze for us? Got it. Oh, good, you got it. Someone read Triptweeze?
Sure.
Thanks, Steve. Right. Thank you so much. MacDonald, that would be after George MacDonald, who influenced Lewis so much. You'll see there's a little scene from Great Divorce there on the right column as MacDonald is trying to get Clive to come to Jesus. You know, it's sort of a why not now? Why not confess and accept Lord? So, someone to read, this is all MacDonald's line or right here on this page. Who will read MacDonald for us? Yeah, great. Thank you. And Clive, someone to read Clive. This is a major one. I was thinking Jeff should do it, but you have to leave early. Yeah. So, you got it? Sweet. That's even better. Jeff, even better. I don't know why I'm saying that. There's no comparison. I don't know why I say that. Silly stuff. But I was picturing you doing it, but Aaron's also terrific for that. Mother. So, great. Thanks, Benny. This woman shows up in Screwtape as kind of an overbearing, very quiet, not typecasting. She volunteered. She knows it's not like her at all. But also in The Great Divorce, there's a character who just is a little excessive in everything. Gluttony of delicacy will come up in here if we make it that far. Bring me back about a quarter. That's far too much. Bring me back about a quarter of it. Who will read Glubos? Glubos is the devil that is in charge of Mother and sometimes sort of controls her in a marionette-like way. Who can do Glubos for us? Do you feel your spirit strangely tugged? That's God telling you. Heltzel should play Scabtree. Can I cast you a Scabtree? It just occurred to me driving over. If you show up, I want to ask you to play Scabtree. Maybe you should do Slubgob too. But let's get Glubos. Somebody volunteer for Glubos quick. Then it'll be you.
I can do it, but
Thanks.
I have to run over and get the kids. And
I'll take it over. Someone will. Maybe Meg will. Thank you, Abby. Someone has one line as poet. Who will do one line for us? Thank you. I forget your name. Karen. Thanks, Karen. Now we got Slubgob. The old training college. Slubgob will talk about the law of undulation, the troughs and peaks of our lives. Very, really good stuff. You'll love Lewis here. Who's going to read Slubgob for us? Yeah, Jamie, you got it. Thank you so much. Slum Trimpet has one line. Slum Trimpet asks something, and Slubgob annihilates Slum Trimpet for speaking in class. Someone read one line for us. Ezra, how about it? One line? Okay, thanks, Ezra. You said yes. Standing away. Thank you. Lilith is, you might know Lewis is interested in the tradition of Lilith, as in some of those old, is it Gospels or not? Anyway, what's your name? Kathy. Thank you, Kathy. Great. I think Lilith is a fairly hoity-toity person. So Screwtape is saying to Clive, hang out with whenever he's hanging out with these hoity-toity people who love the finer things, make him try to imitate them and he will become like them. That'll drag them slowly in that direction. Staples doesn't really say much, just agrees with Lilith, sort of a sidekick. So Staples is pretty much just saying, absolutely, with that kind of Brahmin jaw. Yeah, definitely. So anyway, anyone willing to do Staples for us? If we cast anything, we'll run out of time. Thanks, Bill. Thank you. That'll be great. A couple more. Toad Pipe is the secretary, the undersecretary. So what do you think? Meg, can you do Toad Pipe? Oh, say yes. Thank you. Again, this is a reading. We're not performing anything like that. Daughter, we can skip those. 1, 2, 3, forget that, and Sweetie. Okay, we got it cast well enough to get going. Thank you so much. The opening monologue, Trip Tweeze. I wrote a few things for this piece. One is at the very end and one at the very beginning as sort of a hello. I got to say, Lewis jumps right in medias res. So the first letter of Screwtape, it's as though you've found a batch of letters on the tube, the London tube, and you open up and it says, in my last letter, what last letter, So this kind of gets us going in the theatrical way. Trip Tweeze comes out to introduce everybody to the audience and has this little poem. And again, this is one of the few things that I wrote. We'll just savor these poems when we get to them. Maybe I'll say a thing or two about when we get there. So thanks for volunteering. We'll just make this happen. And sometimes I'll ask us all to read stuff. There's some times when everyone's speaking. Let's just play along and do what we can. Here's Trip Tweeze. So beginning with, who's Trip Tweeze? Great, thanks.
Can you be on the mic for people on Facebook?
1, 2, 1, 2. This mic? Anybody on Facebook? Hi, everybody there.
That might be pretty complicated.
It might be what?
Complicated.
Oh, you mean get everybody on it?
No.
We could spin it around or whatever, but I'll let you solve that however you want, Ezra. Here we go. Thanks, Dean.
Good mortals, young and old, give audience, and heed the spectacle that plays our stage. A comic tale of cosmic relevance to sober auditors of any age. This man is Clive, a chap of average head, whose prospects are as modest as his eyes, but as his days are coldly numbered, his soul is hotly counted as a prize. A cast of fiends, most diabolical, combine their darkest skill to seal his fate. Slum Trumpet, Slug God, Globos, Scabtree, all conspire with Tripweeds on the side of hate. The leaders of this Clive corrupting crew are Screwtape and young Wormwood, Screwtape's niece. The letters which exchange between these two comprise the storm and drama of this piece. Confederates in a grim conspiracy, we fallen angels go to great extremes. You witness here what none but we can see. You overhear our underhanded schemes. So, take into account all that we say, for each must choose for each who wins the day.
Come on, that was really good, right? Yeah. I mean, not that everybody has to hit that mark. Thank you. Good job. Imagine now all the characters coming on stage. Now they all exit, and Screwtape is left there on the stage. Okay, Bill.
My dear Wormwood, just a brief word of congratulations. I am pleased to hear of your promotion to Junior Tempter. Our father is no doubt pleased with your persistence. I hope you'll be glad to learn that I myself will be overseeing your case, encouraging you, and offering what wisdom I have gleaned from over 30 eons in the temptation business. Although your patient is not at present a Christian, your job will not be an easy one. You must never allow yourself to become complacent regarding a potential conversion, as the enemy will attempt to win him from the most unlikely quarters and with the most ungainly tactics. Remember Balaam's ass, your affectionate uncle, Screwtape.
I should say I did write that letter, and I'm trying to sound like Lewis there. Who knows if it works? Where now the scene cuts instantly to a baseball game, and we have to just for the fun of it, we have to do the wave real quick. So we'll start with Aaron and make the wave go around here, and it ends over here with Sweatlands. Ready? And you don't have to stand. You could stand. Yeah, here we go. The wave. Hands up. Thank you. That goes around. The inspiration from that is Harry Met Sally. Did you ever see that? And the characters, it's Bruno Kirby and it's Billy Crystal's character. He's saying, she's broke up with me, and they're at a beautiful game having fun, and the wave is going around, and he says, I said, Helen, don't you love me anymore? And she says, I don't think I ever loved you. Then the wave comes, and they have to go, oh, that hurts. While they're doing the wave, so funny. Oh, that hurts. So, thanks for laughing at that. So we try to recreate that. Again, good art is stealing, right? So often, and not to say this is great art. But here's MacDonald persuading Clive to give his life to Christ.
It's the only way. Why not now?
Well, that's a thought. I'm quite willing to consider it, but for the moment, I was really only inquiring.
So,
Really, don't bother. Another time, perhaps.
there's no better time.
Please, I think the gradual process would be far superior.
The gradual process is of no use at all.
Don't you think so? I'll tell you what. Let me think it over, and I'll let you know the moment I decide.
This moment contains all moments.
Why can't he do it without asking?
He won't act against your will, so why not now?
Okay, before he says well, we have to enact the devils who are trying to keep him from doing it. So he's going to say well in a second. Can you cue him again? He'll say well. Then we all have to say no in a very extreme way. We have to be persuading him to, then we'll die down. So we'll say, oh. Okay? Here's the cue.
He won't act against your will, so why not now?
Well,
Beautiful. Well done. The devils all come on stage, circle and leave. Toadpipe goes to Screw. Okay, so again, we're trying to figure out how do you make it interesting for the audience? What should they look at? In this case, there's a giant rasp. He's getting a manicure. It's sort of funny. Stuff like that. Screwtape.
My dear Wormwood, I note with grave displeasure that your patient has become a Christian. Oh, do not indulge the hope that you will escape the usual penalties. In the meantime, we must make the best of the situation. There is no need to despair. Hundreds of these adult converts have been reclaimed after a brief sojourn in the enemy's camp and are now with us. One of our great allies at present is the church itself. Do not misunderstand me. I do not mean the church as we see her spread out through all time and space and rooted in eternity, terrible as an army with banners. That, I confess, is a spectacle which makes our boldest tempters uneasy. But fortunately, it is quite invisible to these humans. All your patient sees is the half-finished, sham Gothic erection on the new building estate. When he gets to his pew and looks round him, he sees just that selection of his neighbors whom he has hitherto avoided. You want to lean pretty heavily on those neighbors, make his mind flit to and fro between an expression like the body of Christ and the actual faces in the next pew.
Pause there for a second. Sham Gothic, that's when I love this little chapel. It's not Gothic though, is it? Anyway, but there's a ton of, you help me figure out how to characterize Lewis's fantastic insights and psychology and getting at the truth of things. This morning I was reading, but someone called it radical honesty. That felt good to me too. But afterward, if anybody wants to say to me, here's another way to describe what is so great about Lewis's insights and so on, tell me. Now what happens at this point is everybody else is on stage. All the other actors become the congregation, so we don't stand, but let's sing a little bit of The Church is One Foundation, you know that one, and then I'll go like this, and as we're diminishing, Bill will come back in as Screwtape talking over that. The church is one foundation. Bill, you're back with Screwtape.
It matters very little, of course, what kind of people that next pew really contains. You may know one of them to be a great warrior on the enemy's side. No matter. Your patient, thanks to our Father below, is a fool, provided that any of those neighbors sing out of tune, or have boots that squeak, or double chins, or odd clothes. The patient will quite easily believe that their religion must therefore be somehow ridiculous.
Everybody sits after singing. Back to you.
I have been writing hitherto on the assumption that the people in the next pew afford no rational ground for disappointment. Of course, if they do, if the patient knows that the woman with the absurd hat is a fanatical bridge player, or the man with squeaky boots a miser and an extortioner, then your task is so much the easier. All you then have to do is to keep out of his mind the question.
If I, being what I am, can consider that I am in some sense a Christian, why should the different vices of those people in the next pew prove that their religion is mere hypocrisy and convention?
Is it possible to keep such an obvious thought from occurring even to a human mind?
You may ask.
Okay, just for the fun of it, let's, well done. Love hearing Wormwood at first. Let's do let's do your line again, Wormwood. And then when Screwtape says, you may ask, let's say church is over and we just begin to greet each other, just that murmuring of coffee hour. And again, we'll gab like that for a little bit and bring it down, and Screwtape will talk over that. Know what I mean? We'll just get a sense of what that would feel like. I don't know why. Here's Wormwood's line.
Is it possible to keep such an obvious thought from occurring even to a human mind?
You may ask.
And everybody talks. This is a
It is Wormwood. It is. Handle him properly, and he simply won't come into his head.
Great job.
Keep everything hazy in his mind now, and you will have all eternity wherein to amuse yourself by producing in him the peculiar kind of clarity which hell affords. Your affectionate uncle, Screwtape.
Now we meet Mother. This is again a speech from the Great Divorce.
Oh my dear, I had such a dreadful time. I was going with it on the stone, and we'd arranged the whole thing, and we were to meet at the corner of 6th Street. I made it perfectly plain because I knew what she was like, and if I told her once, I told her 100 times, I would not meet her outside that dreadful Bertha woman's house. Not after the way she treated me. That was one of the most dreadful things that happened to me. I'm dying to tell you, because I thought, sure, I acted rightly.
Isn't this fun? I mean, I knew it would be fun to hear everybody read, and it is. Back to you, Bill.
My dear Wormwood, I am very pleased by what you tell me about this man's relationship with his mother. Keep in close touch with our colleague Glubos, who is in charge of the mother, and build up between you in that house a good settled habit of mutual annoyance, daily pinpricks.
Great. So let me just say what's happening here. Oh yeah, right. So this is some kind of blocking, meaning the action on the stage, where Glubos and Mother are pretty much doing the same thing. You can see that Mother is quite controlled by Glubos' influences, but we won't try to do that today. Abby, you're on. Oh, the two of you together. See if you can do it. 3, 2, 1. No.
No, wait a moment, dear. Till I told you to do this. Now, I tried to do things nice around here. You would look up at the house, and I did cooking. I did think we should be comfortable that way. After all, I've been through with your father. You turned out to be so changed. Absolutely selfish. Not a particle sentiment for anybody but yourself. And I do think I'm entitled to a little consideration now and then.
Let's give a little snaps for the syncing up. Nice job, Abby. Thank you, Penny.
I think that worked really well, her being a fraction ahead.
It did.
She was sneaking into
Our mother.
so the other way. But
Also, okay, but that's a good directorial thing, right?
How well Glubos has done her job. Now, as for your man, it is no doubt impossible to prevent his praying for his mother, but we have means of rendering the prayers innocuous. Make sure that they are always very spiritual, that he is always concerned with the state of her soul and never with her rheumatism. In this way, his attention will be kept on what he regards as her sin, by which, with a little guidance from you, he can be induced to mean any of her actions, which are inconvenient or irritating to himself.
Oh, great. Well, thank you. Keep going. You know that's the Charlie Brown when the adults talking to Charlie Brown. Wah, 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 wah. Okay.
Thus you can keep rubbing the wounds of the day a little sorer even while he's on his knees. The operation is not at all difficult, and you will find it very entertaining.
You haven't the faintest idea of what I go through with Clive. The ingratitude. It was I who made a man of him, sacrificed my whole life to him.
That's it.
And what is my reward? Absolute, utter selfishness. No, but listen, I've had to drive him every step of the way. He has no spark of ambition. It's like trying to lift a sack of coal. I had to positively nag him to take on that extra work in the other department. That was really the beginning of everything for him. The laziness of men.
I have to say, there's a little. I was thinking the other day, what is it that influenced this here? It's that Dick Van Dyke in Chitty Bang Bang. Do you remember he's the marionette? There's a little bit of that going on with Mother kind of doing that. What do you see? Anyway, here's Screwtape.
When two humans have lived together for many years, it usually happens that each has tones of voice and expressions of face which are almost unendurably irritating to the other.
So true.
Work on that. Bring fully into the consciousness of your patient that particular lift of his mother's eyebrow, which he learned to dislike in the nursery. And let him think how much he dislikes that. How much. Let him assume that
She knows how annoying it is, and just does it to annoy me.
And of course, never let him suspect that he has tones and looks which similarly annoy her. In civilized life, domestic hatred usually expresses itself by saying things which would appear quite harmless on paper. The words are not offensive, but in such a voice or at such a moment that they are not far short of a blow to the face. You know the kind of thing.
Pause for a second. Clive's going to have this line, and then we're all going to be the devils, the diablos, so we have a laugh at the end of this. Coming over her, we laugh. And then Mother is going to talk, and then it's all of us have these lines. What on earth is coming over you? We're actually going to say slug in lieu of actually punching, but there's three of those, and then we laugh as we exit. So see if we can hit those those cues. So ready to laugh? Here's Clive.
I simply ask her what time dinner will be, and she flies into a temper. What on earth is coming over?
When anything like this, Clive is simply a wet blanket. As I said to him, and if I said it once, I've said it 100 times, you have always been like that. There was a time when you took on interest in all sorts of things and were quite ready to make friends. What on earth is coming over you? I used to say.
What on earth is coming over you, slug? What on earth is coming over you, slug? Loudest of all. What on earth is coming over you?
But now he just doesn't at all. He just sits staring at me with his great big eyes, and I know it, just hating me. That was my reward. After all I've done, sheer, wicked, senseless bacon.
Hatred.
Hatred.
Right. So Mother misheard hatred and says bacon, and then anyway. So thanks you got it. Screwtape, back to you. This
once
is great.
this habit is well established, you have the delightful situation of a human saying things with the express purpose of offending, and yet having a grievance when offense is taken. Your affectionate uncle, Screwtape.
Great. Clive's got this beautiful poem. It's a sonnet. It's in this case, it's a Petrarchan or an Italianate sonnet, which is what? There in the first 8 lines, there are only 2 rhymes. See that? Mean, hence, sense, tween. Seen, pretense, defense, intervene. So Wordsworth's "The world is too much with us," Leighton's, that's a Petrarchan or Italianate sonnet. Maybe John Donne. That's it. Is it? Batter my heart, 3-person God, for you as yet, but not blow time. See, yeah, that's a Petrarchan sonnet too, and it feels like That John Donne poem, if you know Batter My Heart, three-person God. And at the end of that, he says, take me to you, imprison me, for I, except you enthrall me, never shall be free, nor ever chaste, except you ravish me. That's how that finishes. It's all full of paradox in that. Really good. And I feel like Lewis probably had that poem as a kind of sister poem or something as he's written this one. So anyway, a little info about this poem. Aaron?
Just trying to think of reading it meter again after all these Lord, hear my voice, my present voice I mean, not that which may be speaking in our hour hence. For I am legion in an opposite sense, and not by show of hands decide between the multiple factions in my state of seeing or will see. Condescend to the pretense that what speaks now is I, in its defense, dissolve my parliament and intervene. Thou wilt not, though we ask it, will it quite recall free what once given. Yet to this moment's choice give unfair weight. Hold me to this. O strain a point, use legal fictions, for it all, my quarreling selves, must hear an equal voice. Farewell, thou hast created me in vain.
It's a beautiful poem. Well done, Aaron. And I don't expect that our audiences get all those, but we include them in the program. What is he saying there? Often, let's see, if you know, Helen Vendler was the great poetry teacher at Harvard and discovered Seamus Heaney, if you know, wrote about him early. She said in her teaching of Harvard undergrads, it was helpful to gloss a poem ahead of time. Gloss, G-L-O-S-S, like glossary, which I didn't really do for you quite, which is to say, here's what the poem's about, so that when you hear it, you already have a sense of what it means. Now you can hear how it's expressed. This poem is saying, in this moment, listen to my plea for you to be my Lord. But I'm legion, and some days I say the opposite thing. So attend to this particular plea. Even if you have to use legal fictions, dissolve my parliament of all my impulses and listen to this moment, right? Because if all my quarreling selves must bear an equal voice, farewell, thou hast created me in vain. Pretty great. Again, beautiful. I experienced that in my life, and you probably do. Here's Wormwood.
My dear Wormwood, the immature suggestion. Is this me?
Yeah.
Oh. The immature suggestion in your last letter warns me that it is high time for me to write to you fully on the painful subject of prayer.
So I should say, you've received this letter, and you're just reading.
Oh,
Yeah. Okay.
You might have spared the comment that my advice about his prayers for his mother proved singularly unfortunate. This is not the sort of thing that a niece should write to her uncle, nor a junior tempter to the undersecretary of the department. It also reveals an unpleasant desire to shift responsibility. You must learn to pay for your own blunder. The best thing, where it is possible, is to keep the patient from the serious intention of praying altogether. When the patient is an adult recently reconverted to the enemy's party, like your man, this is best done by encouraging him to remember the parent-like nature of his prayers in childhood. He may be persuaded then to aim at something entirely spontaneous and informal, and this will actually be an effort to produce in himself a vaguely devotional mood. One of their poets recorded that,
Say.
I do not pray with moving lips and bended knees, but merely compose my spirit to love and indulge a sense of supplication.
God, you got the feel of that so good.
that is exactly the sort of prayer we want. If this fails, you must fall back on a subtler misdirection of his intention. Whenever they are attending to the enemy himself, we are defeated. Therefore, keep them watching their own minds and trying to produce feelings there by the action of their own wills. When they are praying for forgiveness, let them be trying to feel forgiven. Teach them to estimate the value of each prayer by their success in producing the desired feeling. And never let them suspect how much success or failure of that kind depends on whether they are fresh or tired at the moment. But of course, the enemy will not, meantime, be idle. Whenever there is prayer, there is danger of his own immediate action. Your affectionate uncle, Screwtape.
Come on, isn't that great? I mean, we could pause every one of these letters and talk about a little bit about how apt it is, how insightful. Whenever there's prayer, there's the danger of his own immediate action. That's just great. I remember Andre Dubusse, writer, short story writer, whose son is Andre III, wrote House of Santa Fog. Andre said after he got hit fixing a car, helping a motorist on 93, another car hit him and he was in a wheelchair. rest of his life. What could he do as a Catholic but go to the Mass every day, or have the Mass come to him as he was in a wheelchair? He said, that's the best I can do. I'm at least going to show up for that. And in my life, the times when I was feeling the most in a trough, I thought, at least I'm going to go kneel at the altar, body of Christ, thanks be to God, right? And Lewis, that's so Lewis, right? You act a certain way, and maybe you don't feel it always, but you learn to feel it, you know. Okay, here's Clive, another beautiful prayer.
Master, they say that when I seem to be in speech with you, since you make no replies, it's all a dream. One talker aping two. They are half right, but not as they imagine. Rather, I seek in myself the things I meant to say. And lo, the wells are dry. Then, seeing me empty, you forsake the listener's role, and through my dead lips, breathe into utterance. Wake the thoughts I never knew.
There's a poetry way of saying what I just said in my prosaic way. Beautiful. Thanks, Aaron. Bluebos brings Screwtape the Daily Inferno and a huge cigar, and uses a hand for an ashtray. I always was worried when we would take this on spring break, this trip to Christian schools and churches and so on, and cigars, you didn't even joke about cigars where I went to church in Lancaster, Anabaptist. So I was always a little worried that we'd get in trouble. So Screwtape would have this big Daily Inferno. He'd fold it up and he had a huge cigar in his mouth, and people would laugh. But there were always a couple people that I was worried were going, no, don't encourage cigar smoking. We put a little note in the program, we do not condone. This is so good. Ready for the law of undulation. I'm glad we'll get to this before we end up. So Screwtape. Thank you.
My dear Wormwood, you say you are delirious with joy because the European humans have started another of their wars. I see very well what has happened to you. You are not delirious. You are only drunk. For the first time in your career, you have tasted that wine which is the reward of all our labors, the anguish and bewilderment of a human soul, and it has gotten to your head. Do remember, Wormwood, that duty comes before pleasure. If any self-indulgence on your part leads to the ultimate loss of the prey, you'll be left eternally thirsting for that draught of which you are now so much enjoying your first sip. If, on the other hand, by steady and cool-headed application you can finally secure his soul, he will then be yours forever, a brim-filled living chalice of despair and horror and astonishment, which you can raise to your lips as often as you please. So you have great hopes that the patient's religious phase is dying away, have you? I always thought the training college had gone to pieces since they put old Slubgob at the head of it, and now I am sure. Has no one told you about the law of undulation?
Great. Let's create the scene. Who's playing Slubgob? I wrote that. Jamie. Great. Jamie. Great. So we're gonna get the cue again. Has no one ever told you about the law of undulation? We then need to become the class, all the students coming into class, talking, bored, talking about the latest whatever, video game or whatever it is. And we'll be gabbing, and then Jamie is going to get our attention with a kind of a thump and say, the law of undulation, and then we quiet down and groan. Got it? Let's see if we can do it. Here's the cue again from Screwtape. Has no one
ever told you about the law of undulation?
Hubbub. Yeah, I hate this class. Oh.
If you watch your patient carefully, you see this undulation in every department of his life. His interest in his work, his affection for his friends, his physical appetite all go up and down. As long as he lives on earth, periods of emotional and bodily richness and liveliness will alternate with periods of numbness and poverty. These periods are not, as you fondly suppose, our workmanship. They are merely a natural phenomenon which will do us no good unless you make a good use of it. Now, it may surprise you to learn that in his efforts to get permanent possession of the soul, the enemy relies on the troughs even more than on the peaks. Some of his special favorites have gone through longer and deeper troughs than anyone else.
Let me just interrupt to say, Jamie, This is so good. This law of undulation is great. If you haven't really thought about it, it's just great. And I love what Slubgob says here about that the enemy, meaning God, sometimes really relies on the troughs even more than the peaks. You're going to love it. What's happening now is there's a PowerPoint presentation. An actor comes out to present. What's the first one? Is it Job? So there's a picture of Job. So get ready to play the class and boo these three characters that Slubgob is using as an example.
May we have the visuals, please? Thank you. Class, would you direct your attention to the slides? This is Job. We gave him boils, he still believed. We killed his kids, he still believed. We turned his friends into nags, he still believed. We hate him. This is Joseph, Old Testament patriarch. We threw him in a pit, he still believed. We sold him into Egypt, he still believed. We tossed him into a prison on trumped up charges of adultery with a high society bimbo. He still believed. We hate him. This is Jeff. He's ugly. He still believes. His wife is uglier. He still believes. Just imagine what his kids look like. He still believes. We hate him. Thank you. To use a human is primarily food. To us, a human is primarily food. Our aim is the absorption of his will into ours, the increase of our own area of selfhood at his expense. But he really loves the little merman and wants to fill the universe with a lot of loathsome little replicas of himself. We want cattle who can finally become food. We want servants who can finally become sons. Yes? You have questions?
Is that you?
I can't read the board.
At that point, Slubgob annihilates Slum Tribbett. Thanks, Ezra. Well done. And Ezra's character is then on the floor. It scares all the other devils, and Slubgob asks,
Any other questions?
obviously, nobody has another question, and then on he goes.
And that is where the troughs come in. It is during such trough periods, much more than during the peak periods, that it is growing into the sort of creature he wants it to be. Hence the prayers offered in the state of dryness are those which please him best. Do not be deceived, one which our cause is never more in danger than when a human, no longer desiring, but still intending to do our enemy's will, looks round upon a universe from which every trace of him seems to have vanished, asks why he has been forsaken, and still obeys.
Ready to make the noisy sound of people leaving? Talkity talk, talk, talkity talk, talk, talkity talk. What time are we done here, by the way, y'all? I don't even know what time. 10:15. We have a little bit more. We can do this this scene with the hoity-toities, Clive and Staples and Lilith. Great. Clive, Clive has a poem.
My heart is empty. All the fountains that should run with longing are in me dried up. In all my countryside there is not one that drifts to find the sea. I have no care for anything thy love can grant, except the moment's pain, and hardly know its filling of the moment's want, and to be free from pain.
You got mail.
This was written a long time ago. Obviously. Trip tweet. Who's doing trip tweets? Oh, yeah.
The Undersecretary Screwtape from Associate Tempter Tripweeds regarding fledgling Tempter Woodward. Your subliminal abysmal.
That's hard to say. Well done.
I hope you're feeling suitably foul. Knowing that your niece has recently undertaken her first charge, I thought you might find the following information helpful. Wormwood's patient has made some very desirable new acquaintances, people under my charge, and Wormwood seems to have used this event in a really promising manner. The friends who called at his office are just the sort of people you want him to know. Rich, smart, superficially intellectual, and brightly skeptical about everything in the world.
Screwtape?
This is excellent. Tell me more. Did he commit himself deeply?
Okay, we're at the three lines. He's going to say subtle play of looks and tones. We have to do the sort of high society laugh, the high society party laugh. Okay, all of us. Here we go. Trip-tweeze. Give us that cue, Trip-tweeze. Yes, he committed himself.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, we'll laugh at the end. Midway through this one, we have a laugh.
Yes, he committed himself quite readily. And I don't mean in words. There is a subtle play of looks and tone and laughs,
Thank you.
by which a mortal can imply that he is of the same party as those to whom he is speaking.
Great. Here are these two high society skeptics.
But we must all interpret things in our own way. For me, there is no such thing as a final answer. The free wind of inquiry must always continue to blow through the mind, must it not? To travel hopefully is better than to arrive.
Definitely. Definitely.
If that were true, and known to be true, how could anyone travel hopefully? There would be nothing to hope for.
But you must feel yourself that there is something stifling about the idea of finality.
Stifling.
Stagnation, my dear, what is more soul-destroying than stagnation?
I haven't a clue.
Besides, a question and answer conception of thought only applies to matters of fact. Religious and other speculative questions, surely, on a different level.
Definitely.
Well, if God is a fact,
Chuckle.
I should object very strongly to describing God as a fact.
God, a fact?
you don't believe that he exists?
Exists? What is existence?
Exactly.
You seem to be implying some sort of static, ready-made reality, which is, so to speak, there, and to which our minds have simply to conform. Nonsense.
Nonsense.
Besides, these great mysteries cannot be approached in that way. If there were such a thing, quite frankly, my dear, I should not be interested in it.
No, no.
Service and justice are all that really matter, and practically speaking,
As a result of these new friends, the patient will be silent when he ought to speak,
We laugh.
and laugh when he ought to be silent.
He laughs. Thank you.
He will assume at first only by his manner, but presently by his words, all sorts of cynical and skeptical attitudes which are not really his. But if Wormwood plays him well, they may become his. All mortals tend to turn into the thing they are pretending to be. This is elementary. Meanwhile, Wormwood should take the obvious precaution of seeing that this new development induces him to spend more than he can afford, and to neglect his work and his mother. Her jealousy and his increasing rudeness will be invaluable for the aggravation of their domestic tension. Signed, Trippies.
Let's turn to page 16 so you can hear the last letter. I know you don't really want to give away the ending, but it's so good, this last letter. This is, most of the letters are cut from, this is the extant last letter that from the book. So we'll hear Clive, this epigraph, Lewis has a series of little epigraphs at the, collected at the back of his lyric poems. And then I should say that the World War II gets referred to quite a bit in Screwtape Letters. That's influencing Lewis as he's writing. It's also on Clive's mind. He's promoted or asked to be one of these guys that walks around at night looking for bomb, right? And making sure the lights are out. I forget what that's called. Shades are down. And he's afraid. But Screwtape is kind of ticked off because he's doing his job well, even though he's afraid. And there's some beauty in that. And here at the end, he actually gets killed. And so this is how he moves from the earthly into the eternal. And you'll see that happen here. And so the jig is up. Wormwood loses it, and Screwtape has to reckon with what has just happened, that they almost had this guy, and now he's gone on to this place where he's in heaven. So here's, I woke from a fool's dream. So this will be tricky.
Am I hoity-toity at this point?
What's that?
Pie and Schnippens?
Yeah, we're skipping past. Do you have it? Is it 16?
Okay.
Okay, got it, great.
I woke from a fool's dream to find all spent, except one little sixpence, worn and bent. The same day, in the nick of time, I found the market where my sixpence buys a pound. Friends, tell me, was the bargain good or bad? The price was cheap. The price was all I had.
To indicate the bombs, the actors all clap 5 times. Ready to clap 5 times with me, and then Screwtape will go. Here we go. He's done.
My dear, my very dear Wormwood, my puppet, my pigsty, how mistakenly, now that all is lost, you come whimpering to ask me whether the terms of affection in which I addressed you meant nothing from the beginning. Far from it. Rest assured, my love for you and your love for me are as 2 peas. I have always desired you as you, pitiful fool, desired me. The difference is that I am the stronger. I think they will give you to me now, or a bit of you. Love you? Why, yes. As dainty a morsel as ever I grew fat on. You have let a soul slip through your fingers. The howl
Keep going.
of sharpened famine. For that loss re-echoes at this moment through all the levels of the kingdom of noise, down to the very throne itself.
Silent.
It makes me mad to think of it.
Great job.
How well I know what happened at the instant when they snatched him from you.
Beautiful stuff.
There was a sudden clearing of his eyes as he saw me for the first time, and recognized the part I had had in him, and knew that I had it no longer. What he felt at that moment was as if a scab had fallen from an old sore, as if he were emerging from a hideous, shell-like feather, as if he shuffled off for good, and all a defiled, wet, clinging garment.
By hell, it is misery enough to see them in their mortal days, taking off dirtied and uncomfortable clothes and splashing in hot water and giving little grunts of pleasure stretching their eased limbs. What then of that final stripping, that complete cleansing? The more one thinks about it, the worse it becomes. He got through so easily. No gradual misgivings, no doctor's sentence, no nursing home, no operating table, no false hopes of life, none. Sheer, instantaneous liberation. One moment it seemed to be all our world.
The scream of bombs.
The fall of houses.
The stink and taste of high explosive on the lips and in the lungs.
Feet burning with weariness.
The heart cold with horrors.
The brain reeling.
The legs aching.
Next moment, all this was gone. Gone like a bad dream. Never again to be of any account.
Never again.
Defeated, outmaneuvered fool. Did you mark how naturally, as if he'd been born for it, the earth-born vermin entered the new life? How all his doubts became, in the twinkling of an eye, ridiculous. I know what the creature was saying to itself.
Yes, of course. It was always like this. All horrors have followed the same course, getting worse and worse, and forcing you into a kind of bottleneck, till, at the very moment when you thought you must be crushed, behold, you were out of the narrows, and all was suddenly well. The extraction hurt more and more, and then the tooth was out. The dream became a nightmare, and then you woke. You die, and then you are beyond death. How could I ever have doubted?
As he saw me, he also saw them. I reeled back dizzy and blinded, more hurt by them than he had ever been by anything.
The degradation of it.
This thing of earth and slime could stand upright and converse with spirits before whom I, a spirit, could only cower. I had hoped that the awe and strangeness of it would dash his joy.
That is the cursed thing. The gods are strange to mortal eyes, and yet they are not strange. He had no faintest conception, till that very hour, of how they would look, and even doubted their existence. But when he saw them, he knew that he had always known them, and realized what part each one of them had played at many an hour in his life when he had supposed himself alone, so that now he could say to them one by one, not,
"Who are you?"
but,
So it was you all the time.
He saw not only them, he saw him.
Last column, we can do.
this animal, this thing begotten in a bed, could look on him.
What is blinding, suffocating fire to me?
Is now cool light to me. It's clarity itself, and wears the form of a man.
Pains he may still have to encounter, but they embrace those pains. They would not barter them for any earthly pleasure. All the delights of sense, or heart, or intellect, with which you could once have tempted him, even the delights of virtue itself, now seem to him in comparison but as the half-nauseous attractions of a rattled harlot would seem to a man who hears that his true beloved, whom he has loved all his life, and whom he believed to be
Everybody.
dead,
Is alive.
Is alive, and even now is at the door.
And then Clive, simply just exit the stage.
He is caught up into that world where pain and pleasure take on transfinite values, and all our arithmetic is dismayed. Once more, the inexplicable meets us. Next to the curse of useless tempters like yourself, the greatest curse upon us is the failure of our intelligence department. If only we could find out what he is really up to. Alas, alas, that knowledge in itself so hateful and mawkish a thing should yet be necessary for power. Sometimes I am almost in despair. All that sustains me is the conviction that our realism must win in the end.
So if we were all performing this, we would all slowly rise, and as he's saying these last lines, we would all start moving toward Bill and surround, toward Wormwood. Moving toward Wormwood, Meg, right?
Yeah.
And we would surround her. We won't do that, but just imagine ourselves doing that so that she is about to be consumed.
Meanwhile, I have you to settle with. Most truly do I sign myself, your increasingly and ravenously affectionate uncle, Screwtape.
Everybody, thank you so much. This was lovely. Hearing everybody read. The script is here. If you take it with you, read the whole thing. Meg?
We need to perform this here at Christ.
Okay.
Invite the whole neighborhood.
Yeah, keep those. Compliment of
I saw
Gordon
this.
College and